So I think what they're saying is, the management of the lower abdomen is like there's some effort in it, which isn't a pull back Uddiyana style, but it's a zone of Uddiyana, right, that you manage, but you don't pull it like an Uddiyana bandha. See? So there's a bit of a difference there. Uddiyana control, yeah?
If you're just a beginner and you're struggling with trying to do everything all at once, does it matter if the abdominal control isn't perfect?
He says if you're just a beginner and you're trying to figure out all these points, is it okay if the abdominal control is not perfect?
In what relation?
So you forget about the abdomen because you're too busy doing this, it's like that. It's too busy to think about.
If you are referring to pranayamic practices, then your awareness should be, don't allow it to come out.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
That serves the purpose. And there is a reason why Swamiji said, when you bring out the abdomen forward, we have measured that you have capacity to breathe more air in quantity when abdominal muscles are under control. Previously it was understood that when you have abdominal breathing, first on the abdomen, no, that is proved wrong. This is when you keep abdominal muscles under control, you inhale more air.
But obviously it's a process for a new student. It takes time. And that's why new students don't just start with kumbhakas and trying to hold, because too many elements are not in place. So the point of starting with kumbhaka is, okay, you know what the pranayama is, you know how to breathe in it, you got the basic elements. Then you just have to add on kumbhaka as opposed to throwing it in a mix, and things go astray then. So bit by bit, step by step, vinyasa. Yeah, Nadia and Monica.
So I do with bandhas, can you let go of the bandhas at, if we're doing 10 rounds? So can you kind of release and then sort of in fifth round?
That is what I have kept that when you are inhaling, adopt the Mool Bandha.
Right.
When inhalation is complete, adopt the Jalandhar Bandha.
Right.
When exhalation is to start, release the Jalandhar Bandha along with glottis. And then when exhalation is finished, release the Mool Bandha.
So for every round you're supposed to release, or when you're going?
See, if it is difficult to maintain,
okay, then you release.
Then you do. And also it has been noticed that if you perforce do, then constipation will be created.
Yeah.
So to keep that possibility of constipation away, it is better to do like a Ashwini.
And you also mentioned that through Kumbhaka, if the Uddiyana is not there, that means you overdid it on the Uddiyana for the first, through the inhalation.
No, Uddiyana is not to be done.
Sorry, not Mula, sorry.
Mula.
So just to kind of be aware of how much Mula, too much is not good, because then it goes out through
It
retention.
the passage, that is better for you.
But if you're able to keep Mula better in retention if it's not too forced, that's something that you mentioned as well, right? That it's not as forced, so you're able to retain it through Kumbhaka. And then
In certain cases it is possible, but many people find difficult.
okay.
Mula and kumbhaka should literally just follow from your inhale. See?
Yeah.
People think mula, hold, squeeze.
Yeah.
Very incorrect. What are you doing? You're holding. Now the aim, you have to keep that steady.
Yes.
The pressure increases. Can you still keep it steady? Now you're at retention. Can you hold that? I didn't change anything there. See? Now the exhale starts and the pressure releases off of it. And then he's saying, especially in the beginning, that you can have a little break at the end of your exhale, gather it again and be ready but when the inhale starts, through the retention. See?
Yeah.
That's my mula, I haven't moved it. It's not a flat space, it's kind of a cup. Yeah, so get used to holding. So if you've held correct through inhale, it'll just stay. And that's how you can determine your ability in kumbhaka too.
When you apply the pressure,
Let's speak up a bit, please.
when you apply the pressure with the retention, you need to push back a little bit with mula now to hold that resistance in the same place.
Yeah, but
So you do it, you increase it a little. Is that not?
if I'm understanding what you're saying, to be honest, if you have a proper mula through the inhale, then you reach the peak of the inhale and you're maintaining that through your kumbhaka. So if you give in your mula, it's a big mistake at that point, you see. And if you're applying more pressure when you go to the Jalandhara Bandha phase, then you're pushing something, you're doing something wrong, there's some pressure, tension in your chest. And these things are all minor, but they make a big difference, see what I mean? So you should be like, bam, nice big inhale, and then, boom, there it is, nicely held, see? Now that's the challenge, to maintain that nicely. And obviously, it's not just holding your breath. You know, that's just an incidental aspect of it.
Based on that, when you teach beginners, of course you don't teach them kumbhaka. When do you decide that it is time to start with kumbhaka? After which period?
When do you decide to give beginners kumbhaka?
After 3 months, if they are sincerely practicing with regularity.
And you know what I'd add to that is just, do you know the pranayamas? Like if I say Surya Vedana and you're still looking up the book, oh yeah, that one, you know, then it's too many details are not ready, so why should we add on kumbhaka? See? You know, which is, and kumbhaka is really pranayama, so learn how to breathe, learn the techniques, have the elements in place of those techniques, very good. Kumbhaka begins. Now you can grow in that zone, see? So a good training is to build them up through those ways. Sorry, Monica, you want...
Yeah, I'm like back behind the question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that before every pranayama or at the start you exhale first.
Start with a good exhale, yeah.
Then the case of Anuloma Viloma will be the left nostril exhalation or just exhalation and then start.
Both, close, then go in the left.
Same with Chandra, same with
Yeah. Now whatever I'm going to do, left, right, tongue, but I've kind of gotten empty, see? As opposed to... Okay, I get you, yeah.
If you have too much acid in the blood, your brain makes you breathe faster. So if you're doing pranayama, does that make you have less acid in the blood because you're breathing slower and more controlled?
So you might have to qualify that a bit, because that's quite a big stake, because you know the blood can only go within a particular range, which is technically alkaline. 7 point, well I forget what it is, 3.4 to 7.6,
yeah.
something like that. So a very
Yeah.
narrow range, and it has to be alkaline.
Yes.
So what are you saying, if the buildup of carbon dioxide?
So if, for example, you have diabetes
Yeah.
and you have ketones, which are acid
Yeah.
in the body,
Yeah.
your pH can go down to 6.8.
Yeah.
And the way your body reacts is to breathe faster
Yeah.
to make the pH become more normal.
So that's the pH of your breath or your urine?
No, the pH of your blood. So that suggests to me that if you control your breathing through pranayama, then you can make your blood a little bit more alkaline. And so let's say you're somebody who lives badly and eats too much meat, and so your blood is a little bit too acid. Maybe you can cure that with pranayama by making it more normal, more alkaline. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
So I'm going to just paraphrase that differently. Do you feel that if one's lifestyle habit is strong in elements like meat and alcohol and other things that might be more acidic, that pranayama could help counter that alone? Is it enough?
Yeah.
Will it help? Huh?
Kriya will help.
Kriyas will help.
Okay.
But one thing I tell you, though it is, we cannot, we had a person performing khichdi. And we experimented in our institute. Then I took him to Chicago with Dr. Himes. He could live in 7.4 CO2. But it was a rare case.
So I think coming out of that, one cannot expect yoga or pranayama elements within yoga can cure and solve everything. There has to be, can't have your cake and eat it too. Can't have your steak and eat it too. You know? So, you know, one has to take a bit of personal responsibility as well. And that's it's all summarized there in the successes, obstacles, in yamas, niyamas, you name it. So. But it's a good way to start, and then because something changes, then you might make other changes. And I still think that more research will go on to what it does exactly with the blood, with other things, etc. You know, like 20 years from now, we should have a better body of qualified and quantified knowledge on that to share. So, question on mantra. There's 3 ways to chant, meaning loud. You know the ways: loud, low pitch, and mentally in the head. So, if it is, they say the mental is meant to be more spiritual, but without the sound and vibration, as when we do it loud. So, if we're doing it mentally, where should we focus our attention?
No, but the question is why they have said 3 ways. The thing is, when you pronounce loudly, you learn the technique how to pronounce correctly. If you start so mentally, it may be wrong. Effect will be different. Therefore, loudly, then Vaikhari, then Manasik. When you qualify with both stages, go to mental. So that there should not be incorrect pronunciation even in mentally. Because mantra have very, very sensitive reaction, few. And therefore always it is said, tradition is that you have to learn how to recite it first. Then go where tongue is only moving, sound is not there. Then third is when tongue is not moving, it is purely mental.
So when it's purely mental, they're asking where should they focus their attention?
Wherever they want to focus, but focus. The focusing should be there.
But an internal point.
I tell you, wherever they want, they can focus.
Okay?
But they should focus. Focusing is more important, point is not important. Generally we say, okay, navel is the best part. Or concentrate on breathing. But ultimately we say, wherever if you have capacity to focus anywhere.
So on your wife's face, that's a good example. qualifying that with the pranava japa, which is just one om vibration moving along the spine up into the head, and there's a great power in a group, and obviously there's power when you do it mentally. What do you think? Even in a group, if it was all done mentally, or is it better with the sound and you're benefiting from the vibration?
No, better the sound. When mentally you have to be alone. That is the best.
But because Om is in a group, and it's loud, do you think
It creates
we get more out of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
bit of a lift.
Mm.
Yeah.
japas padanta bhavam.
And then lastly, I'm not sure if I understand this, so could you explain the 3 ways of doing Brahma Mudra and their purposes?
3 days?
Yeah.
I know only one way.
Maybe it's 1, 2, 3. I don't know. So whoever, it's up to you if you want to qualify that question. But we have one way, left, right, up, down. What's that benefit or purpose?
See, mainly it is done, it also affects your cervical region, muscles, carotid sinus, tonsils, and also they say that it clears the way to approach the pituitary.
The pituitary gland, which is sort of on the floor of the brain, but technically it hangs like a little tonsil, and technically it's outside the blood-brain barrier, so if you went through the nasopharyngeal, it's the closest you could get to sticking your finger near it, which is why it takes you. So when you're kind of moving, obviously you're toning this area as well. And we've said, the larynx-pharynx gets toned, and that's innervated through vagus nerve and so on. So you're sort of calming, settling, removing impediments, stagnation, tension, so that your practice is very nice.
On the OMS, it feels better to me if we're all in tune. Is that just an ego thing that I like to hear things tuned in?
I don't know the difference personally. She, on the Om, okay, on the Om, she feels, if we're doing it together, it feels better if we're all in tune than in our own thing.
Depends.
And this point is the O is short, right? And so you're really left with your, that should be a very internal thing. That's the bhavana,
So you shouldn't worry about other people.
Stop and interrupt them. No, what is off-putting is if there's a room and then someone's in the room going, oh, then I usually have to get up and go. So, because sometimes people see AUM, so they're going, all those things. So it's a very sweet, see? And that pretty much goes from your navel up your spine, see? And then there's another part that's empty, silent. That should be in tune.
Okay.
Silent. Good, so that was all the written questions. Oh yeah, sorry, you and Catherine, go ahead please. When did you have a question?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
For a change.
Not for a change, okay? It's teamwork. Right?
She just told me this.
Yeah. Don't you love? Go ahead.
For Tiwariji, you said you were talking to Sharat recently, and as myself and many people here are practitioners of Joyce brand yoga, I wondered whether there might have been anything else you discussed that you would think of relevance to people who practice that lineage of yoga as well as pranayama?
When you were, what else did you talk about with Shirat?
Any gossip?
When you were in Chengdu talking with Shirat,
Yeah.
and
That was very, very nice person, I tell you. He was morning, evening, he will meet me. And we used to discuss very in a good spirit.
so what he's wondering is, just like you posed the question, you know, would you name a
It was
joke?
like a joke. But I meant it.
But what they one more are interested in knowing is, you know, in any of the conversation, were there other things that you might deem helpful, relevant for the body of students, seeing as some practice that mode of asana?
No, we didn't discuss anything of that time. Other things we discussed. I did not want to interfere Ashtanga as a practice, but that was not the time.
Did you take his post?
Did you take his pose?
See, I tell you something. It is not necessary that take pulse. You can come to know even if you shake the hand.
Be careful. All has been revealed.
He is a wonderful person. His mother also was there.
Actually, the last, and I think it was the first meeting, we were together in Hong Kong at a smaller thing, 2005, so it's actually been 10 years.
He remembered that.
Yeah. And when I would meet him, he'd say, "How is Tiwariji?" And I would say, "Very good." Anyway, good brotherly love across the waves there. Daphne has a question, yeah?
I don't have a question, but
Oh.
I know quite a few senior Ashtanga teachers from America. And there was a big deal that happened because Sharat, they said he was going to change the name to Joyce Yoga. And a lot of the Ashtanga teachers kind of revolted about why would he name it after himself. So this is what I heard from at least, 10 Ashtanga teachers that I know for over a decade. So it was interesting because I think their take on it was an ego thing, but what he's saying is the lineage coming from the Joyce family, which I can understand what he's saying. So I wonder, I didn't know who had told him to change the name, but now I
This was recently, or?
because they were
No,
saying,
this
like,
is-
oh, Baptiste Yoga, you're just going to name it Joyce Yoga, and his manager was having these conversations in Bali. Okay, so, anyway, I heard about that, and that he said he couldn't change it because of all the senior Ashtanga teachers.
To be honest, you know, because this was after Patabi Joyce died in 09 to 10. And when he and I spoke about it, he was like, and it was by early 11, he was like, look, those last 2 years were very challenging, difficult thing. He was trying to find his feet. And then it sort of settled by 11. He was telling me that he wanted to change his own name from Sharat Rangaswamy, which is his own father's name, see, to Sharat Joyce, be easier. So there was that conversation. Joyce Yoga was already in existence because of the studios set up in America by a rich sponsor, see? And, you know, I don't recall him actively wanting to switch the so-called brand name, but his own name. And I think most people were debating, why is this rich woman coming in, pushing Joyce Yoga, and what's going to happen? And then that sort of settled after a while, and Sharat has found his feet and all that.
As you know, the source.
So she's bringing it up because while you said, wouldn't it be good to change to Joyce Yoga, people who've been practicing the method of asana, Ashtanga Vinyasa for a long time felt if he changed it to Joyce Yoga, it would be about him and ego, so it should remain under this rather proper noun name, a generic name. So it's not about the person, but about the tradition or system. So that was the...
See, one thing I still have to understand, why it was named Ashtanga.
No, but well, my understanding of that is Pattabhi Joyce had put a sign on his studio, which was Ashtanga, Nilayam, and I forget the rest of it. So it's under the tradition of Patanjali and Ashtanga, right? So you're doing asana with vinyasa. But obviously, just like, hey, this is Ujjayi, the vernacular gets caught, right? And especially in Western tongue. So then it just became colloquially or vernacularly, Ashtanga, 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 right? Within the tradition of Ashtanga, so then, we're calling it Ashtanga. And then some would qualify that with Ashtanga Vinyasa, to sort of say it's that method of asana. But then there's also Swami, now I forget his name, over in Mount Madonna in California, and he teaches Ashtanga Yoga too, but it's completely different. So again, it's sort of initially meant as the catch-all, but then the word gets passed into vernacular tongue, and now it's a brand almost.
See, I have very high respect for them. But there are certain questions which I don't get answered. Look here, just now there is a committee in the government of India has formed. I am the chairperson. So we were having a discussion. One of the representative of Iyengar talks of tradition. So very respectfully I asked her, tell me, what is your tradition? Because the Guru of Iyengar is Krishnamacharya. Guru of Pattabhi Joyce is Krishnamacharya. Guru of Rishikacharya is Krishnamacharya. But who is following him? Keval, the Iyengar named as Iyengar Yoga. This became Ashtanga Yoga, and other became Vin Yoga. But where is Krishnamacharya Yoga? What is the lineage? So those are few questions which really have no answer. They are very good, must be very nice. I don't question the technique, but I question the lineage. Because when Krishnamacharya was sent to my teacher, if you read here, advised that don't mix up the physical education exercises with yoga. Let it be pure. And Krishnamacharya was so great, he answered and said, whatever advice you have given, I have accepted it. So, but the question comes is, why Iyengar Yoga? Why Vin Yoga? Why Ashtanga Yoga? The lineage should have been taken forward. Now about lineage also, you see that they could say that Krishnamacharya's guru was Ram Mohan. Okay. In his biography it is written he was in Kailash, Mount Kailash, living with family. While really we made research, there was no room to live. Nobody was living. Now another somebody else says, no, this is wrong, he was living in Nepal. So such a thing, but they create a real person who wants to know the truth. He gets little confused.
Yeah, I suppose the stories have expanded because I can, in a very small group, Patabi Joy saying that Rama Mohan was in the woods outside Allahabad. And back then you would take a year pilgrimage to go to Nepal, this is Kailash, and I've been there, and you don't live there. And if it was 1930s or 20s, it would have been, that was when Tibet was quite closed as well, you're not going to find a family of Brahmin Indians living up in sub-zero temperatures at Kailash like the only people. So what was probably a realistic ashram in India, and you went on a pilgrimage, gets turned into living at Kailash with yogi, So the point is, and there's a good friend of mine, some of you know, and Tuarji knows him well, good old Alex from Norway, and he's been hot on trying to pull out these little points or secrets, etc., and talking in depth with the family about it, and would agree with even what I've just said. And I, he shared all his interviews that he did with them 10 years ago with me, So the stuff that's sort of over-exaggerated, including the date of birth. He took a photo once of a document that Krishnamacharya's eldest son had of Krishnamacharya's birth date in 1892. And then the whole thing was he was 1889 and they celebrated the 100 year. See? Mm-hmm. So all these things are a little bit messy, but what we can take from it is, well, the yoga's there, we practice, it's good. There's good people along the way, and sure, enjoy a few stories, have a drink. Take the pulse while you're drinking. Yeah.
That goes, one is the Yoga Korunta story,
yeah,
which is up in the air. 2 years ago you mentioned that somebody had found a manuscript and was studying it in the States, but I never heard again from that. I'm talking to Paul because he mentioned it here 2 years ago. Have you not heard anything on that?
Yeah, well, Arthur and I were discussing that, but
there is a Yoga Karunta, but it doesn't have anything to do with.
there's Kapalika Karunta, which Kavalyadam has a copy of, and when they had an earlier edition, I had it, and Alex was living with me at the time, and the second he found out, he was like, and we, on his point, then we ended up talking with Patabi Joyce on it, who wasn't really too satisfied. This is Kapalika Karunta, not Yoga Karunta. So nobody, even Iyengar, and in the interview we do, he said, never seen it, it's not been. And, Krishnamacharya was into writing Sanskrit teachings and stuff, and there's that other one, there's the Yoga Rahasya, which is him having a vision and then writing down. Yeah, so he wrote it. So, the Yoga Karunta, maybe. Tabi Joyce used to say, 2,000 years old, this and that, but doesn't line up with, if you really research texts and those kind of things and ages. Yeah.
I just thought maybe something got out of that, but obviously not.
Yeah. No.
Second question.
And I went to the manuscript library in Calcutta to try and see if I could find it. There's too many manuscripts floating around.
It was never there.
Yeah, so it's tricky.
And the second question, how old are the sun salutations?
Well, I'll give you my interpretation, but then, how old are the sun salutations? Surya Namaskar.
Only 200 years. 200 years.
And
see, there was a king, Maharaja of Ond, very close to our place. He designed.
What's the name of the Maharaja?
Maharaja.
Name I don't remember, but Ond, A-U-N-D-H. This is the estate, and his original copy, which was printed, is in our library.
Yeah, that was what I had heard, but
people get confused because Patabi Joyce would often say Surya Namaskara A is in Yajurveda, nine Vinyasa.
No, this is wrong.
But so how would I interpret that? The word vinyasa is in Veda, right?
No, you should.
Yeah. So no, that's Vini. Okay, so you could say original sun salutation is the fire ceremony. That's what it is, right? Which I know you love. You know? And
Go to the source.
And those, like the let's say what we're doing there in the fire ceremony is straight out of a mixture of the Vedas. And so you have a particular mantra you're going to do with particular vinyasas with that. See what I mean? So then you can, so if you study like Purva Mimamsa, you know, you go to the traditional Sanskrit colleges, then you're going to learn all these rituals, all these chants, all these when to do, what to do, when, how, what to put, pour, boom, you name it. And obviously Patabi Joyce was working in the Patashala. Krishnamacharya had, you know, that was his sort of lifeblood studying. So this is the language employed in it. So then you see there's a ritual in the Vedas of a sun salute with the fire. Now we're doing a physical one, and you're just applying the same logic. Jessica.
So,
Daphne. Yeah.
well, regardless of whether I agree, and there's probably, you know, the Ashtanga series are not described in any ancient text. This is my personal opinion from everything, but
you will not find the Ashtanga sequence, of course not, in an ancient text.
But do you think there's a place for asana as more physical asana, given the way our cultures have evolved today? It's very different from 2,000 years ago.